everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Over the Bar podcast. Let's start with the UEFA Champions League games. Atalanta played against Dortmund. Uh, One would have thought that Atalanta would not be able to get back into that game, losing 2-0, 2-0 in the first leg. But the miraculous happened. There was a red card. Atalanta won 4-1 with very beautiful goals, I should add. Juventus Galatasaray 5-2 in the first leg, and it ended in a very, the game was quite dramatic yesterday. Players were frustrated. Osimhen was frustrated at his teammates. He scored, couldn't even celebrate. It looked like Juventus were going to, do a comeback yesterday, but that didn't happen. Inter versus Bodo Glimt. Bodo Glimt shocked Inter both home and away. So these are like some of the very, very interesting games that we had from the UEFA Champions League. And we'll be speaking to this in a couple of minutes. Brown, tell us your thoughts about the UEFA Champions League games. Which one was the most exciting for you? There was also before you go on, there was also a red card situation. Two red card situations actually. One in the game between Atalanta and Dortmund, and the other one between Juventus and Galatasaray. So you want to speak to that also?
Okay, so I'll speak to the Atlanta Dortmund game. I mean, personally, I think that I believe that Dortmund should have qualified because, I mean, having gotten that 2-goal lead in the tie in the first leg at the Iduna Park, the Dortmund Stadium in Iduna Park, coming to Italy, to play Atlanta. Of course, you had all the advantage to yourself. And if it was even a 1-goal deficit, we would say, okay, it is a narrow lead, but you had 2 goals, right? And if you look at that game, from the get-go, from the moment the referee blew the whistle, Atlanta they were just coming at Dortmund. And that was what resulted in the first goal that was scored by Skamaka. Because if you look at that cross that was, played into the box, Skamaka didn't even expect that ball to actually come to him. But because the defender missed it, the ball it was just sitting right in front of him. And he did what a striker is supposed to do, took it with a plumb. But again, going into the game, right, after scoring that early goal in the 5th minute, Atlanta was constantly coming. You would see the fans behind them, and they were pressing high to, get that, to equalize that tie. And that was what led to the goal where Zappacosta took that shot and it was deflected, into the net. But I personally did feel like Dortmund did not just lose this game because of anything else other than naivety. Because explain to me why you would lose your 2-goal advantage in the first half. In the first half. Okay, fast forward to coming into the second half. Let's see if you would regroup and then see how you would, begin to, try and see how you can come back from this. And unfortunately, that beautiful cross that gave Pasalic to score that third goal in the 57th minute, which in my opinion was still early in the second half, conceding a goal that early in the second half. At that point, Dortmund, you could see from the faces of the players that they were defeated up until when Adeyemi struck that ball
That very fantastic goal.
to tie the game. And I personally felt like, okay, even though this had happened, you are giving away your lead, you are back into the game, momentum obviously would shift because that goal was scored in the 75th minute by Adeyemi. Momentum would shift to Dortmund, but that did not happen because at the 9 minutes of the game, that penalty happened. And trust me, in some quarters you would argue that that should not have been given. The player should not have been given a red card. If you recall, he had gotten a yellow card earlier in the game. It was actually a second yellow card that was given to him. And yes, I agree with the decision because even though the player did not intentionally, strike the Atlanta player on the forehead, he was actually going for the ball. Was his foot high? Absolutely. But the red card was not a straight red card. It was a second yellow card. And I believe strongly that even though that was a very, very important decision for the game at the time, the hands of the referee actually gave the right decision. So Atlanta doing what they had to do, and then Samajic scoring that final goal to take them through to the round of 16. And then when quickly to the Galatasaray game, I was utterly disappointed in Galatasaray because explain to me how you are coming with a 3-goal lead 5-3 from the first game, the first leg. You are coming in with a 3-goal lead, but you just gave up the entire 3 goals. And again, you could see from the post-match interview where Osimhen was saying that even though they qualified to the round of 16, he is actually disappointed at the team because this was not what they were supposed to come here to do. To concede goals the way they did, the defense was so porous. They were running through them like hot knife through butter. So it was honestly a shame. And you could see the frustration from Osimhen in the game when he was actually crying for crosses to be put into the box. But it wasn't coming. It wasn't coming. So yes, they qualified. And again, I want to say this. It's not because Osimhen is in Nigeria or anything, but I'm telling you that for the last 12 years, this is the first time in 12 years Galatasaray is qualifying to the round of 16. And all thanks to Victor Osimhen. I'll tell you why. Because this is a player that he chases the ball. If you look at the first leg, his chasing of the ball actually resulted in 3 goals. And this second leg as well, his goal was the thing that was the one that gave that calm to the Galatasaray side when he scored that goal. So when you look at Osimhen, he's the striker that everybody should have. He runs where you need him to run. He's able to press high. He's good on and off the ball. So Galatasaray has qualified for the round of 16 for the first time in 12 years because of a player like Victor Osimhen in that team. So yeah, beautiful game to watch for the neutrals, to be honest.
Yeah. I think that Dortmund will have Barca Bayern to blame for all of the goal. I mean, it was culprit. It was culpable for all of the goals. The deflection, the penalty, everything was Barca Bayern yesterday. Shola, do you want to speak to the Champions League games?
Yeah, of course. Interesting games in the Champions League. Since we were still on the issue of Atlanta and Dortmund, I mean, what really stood out for me was the last penalty. We talk about players like stepping up to play penalty, critical penalty, and just making the best decision at that point. Look at that penalty, for crying out loud. No goalkeeper could actually catch that.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I just want to give kudos to that, because still getting the nice way from Chukweze's penalty. So I was just like, wow, this is how a player should take penalty when it's actually a critical penalty. There was no way the goalkeeper could catch that. And of course, I'm happy for Atlanta because, they helped the Serie A team to sort of retain their prestige back. Yeah, exactly. So because Juventus went out, Inter Milan Milan went out to
Bodo Glimt.
Buda Glimt.
Buda Glimt,
Yeah.
yes.
So Inter Buda Glimt, Inter, they did enough to come back into the game. Buda Glimt just laid back, relied on counter attacks just to come back into the game. But the goals weren't just coming, and at times it happens like that. The goals weren't coming. And Buda Glimt, they are quite fast-paced, and they press high, they run, and of course they are not playing in their league right now, so they have all that energy. And when a fast-paced team plays against this the Serie A team in general, like the Serie A team is slow. You see the likes of Kevin De Bruyne still kicking it in the Serie A. It wouldn't even get into. Maybe we get into teams first team of some maybe Burnley or just like Kai Walker and stuff like that. But he's still kicking it in the Serie A. What?
De Bruyne.
Why did you think they had to let him go from City if he was that? It's fantastic, but what about the legs? Can he still run? So that's what I'm trying to say. Look at Rasmus Hojlund. That was our second fiddle, just like a getaway striker for us. Look at what he's doing with Napoli and stuff like that. So Napoli went out, Juventus went out thanks to that goal from Osimhen. And I wanted to say that Osimhen chose not to celebrate because if you recall, Spalletti was his former coach when he was in Napoli, and in his post-match conference, he said that he really got the best out of him. So him not celebrating was not necessarily out of frustration, even though he was actually frustrated, but more out of respect for his former manager and of course, also the move to Juventus could have actually happened if not for the fact that Napoli sort of blocked that move. So don't blame the player if he's trying to also,
He's trying to pacify both sides.
To his future club, exactly. And people were saying, because also after the match, it was like greeting De Peru. De Piero, and people were like saying that he's already trying to force a move to Juventus, but no, he's just trying to pay his respect and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm happy that Galatasaray also qualified, even though, like they almost lost it. I mean, it's always difficult when you play in Italia Serie A. Italia Serie A, like they're so passionate fans. I mean, you can also say the same thing for Galatasaray. When you go Galatasaray at home, it's always also difficult, regardless of who is coming, and stuff like that. So, but let's talk about Boda Glimt. Boda Glimt, can they now make it past the next round? I think the next round now, they're either going to face Manchester City. Pep Guardiola was in attendance to watch that match. They're actually either going to face Manchester City or Real Madrid. Is this the point where Boda Glimt's magic ends, or they can still do magic, considering that they've beaten Man City before, they've beaten Atletico Madrid, who is like the arch rival of Real Madrid? And if you look at this Real Madrid team also against Benfica, they don't seem to that free scoring like the Real Madrid of the old, 2-1 against Benfica. You just imagine especially like Real Madrid, I mean, at the Santiago Bernabeu to finish it off, maybe 4-0 and stuff like that. But that wasn't really what we saw.
Even losing that game, to drop down from the first position on the La Liga table.
Exactly. So, and even losing to Osasuna just to give that lead back to Barcelona and stuff like that. So this Real Madrid team, I'm not sure. To be honest, I think Boda Glimt can cause an upset. But since Pep Guardiola was in attendance, I believe he has done what he needed to do. In case Boda Glimt comes to Man City, Man City will overpower. Man City will do everything
to annihilate. It's a good time.
This time around, it's over two legs. So
it's a good time to bring that joke back. They will do everything within their power. What did you think about the yellow card? The red card that was given to the second card leading to the second yellow card leading to the red card that was given to Banse Bayani? Was it? No. It was not Banse Bayani. It was in the Juventus Galatasaray game. The red card that Kelly got, who was a defender, who was jumping he actually got the ball. And while landing, he landed on I think it was the shin or something like that, or the ankle of the player. And he got a red card for that. I can't understand it. How is that a red card? What do you think?
That was a controversial one from the VAR, to be honest. But when you look at the match, it didn't seem to affect Juventus that much, because even despite the red card, they almost still make that comeback. If not for maybe it later affected them though, because they went into extra time and they could have used extra legs in the extra time. But I mean, it was a controversial one. To me, it wasn't. So, but VAR at times they can be VAR and stuff like that. So yeah,
of course. Inter Milan Bodo Glimt for me was a very, very interesting game. I already said that I expect them to cause an upset, and they indeed caused an upset. It was a very structured game from them. Defended really well. Tried to catch Inter on the counter, which eventually worked. Especially their second goal was a very, very good. It was a very, very well worked out goal. I hope that they beat whoever they meet in the next round until they play Chelsea. Maybe if they ever play Chelsea. But yeah, they're a very good team, and I hope that they progress really well in the competition.